Hey guys, so I'm super excited. We're going to be interviewing Mandy Perry, whoop, whoop, my own personal mentor. So let me just tag her in so she knows what's going on and jumps on with us. And that gives us a little bit of time also for everybody else to join, which is cool. Hey Taylor, how are you? Okay, let me see if I can pull this up myself as well. We're just waiting for Mandy and a couple of other people to join, Taylor, and then we're going to get started. I have so many questions ready to download all of it on Mandy and learn a bunch of stuff from her. Whoop whoop. So excited. Okay, if anybody else is here too, let me know in the comments. I can't see everything just yet. I'm just trying to load it all on my computer. Let me know. Cool. Cool. All right, Mandy's here. Hey, Kimberly. Okay, doing this for adding someone on. So let's see how this goes. Adding. Hey, Karen. Let us know in the comments if you're watching. And let me just pull this up here. Tag any of your friends that you know were keen to watch this so that they know that we're live and yeah, be ready to ask questions. Hey, Alia. Okay. Cool. All right. And I've got us up on here too. I don't know why it's taking so long to add. Yay!
So you have to put the phone up and down in order for it to work.
What's that?
And the phone apparently has to go up and down now. It used to be sideways, but now it has to go up and down in order to work.
There's a whole lot of feedback on the line too here.
Can you put these on, see if it helps?
Yeah, that's better. That's heaps better. It is a little glitchy, yeah. Okay.
Hello, Facebook. If it stays glitchy, you can always just switch to Zoom and put the Zoom on a live in the group.
We'll give that, we can give that a go. We'll see how we go. Anyway, it seems all right now.
You look beautiful.
Saying aw, thanks, lady.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I am so excited to have you here. Oh my God, so excited. So awesome. I've got literally so many questions for you. Everybody that's watching right now, they've posted a bunch of questions in the group. Really keen to hear and know everything about you and how you kicked ass in your business. And for those that haven't seen but are just jumping on the live, Mandy is my own personal mentor and coach. She kicks my ass nearly every single day. She went
so much fun.
I love that. She went from 0 to 500K in her first 2 years of business. So she is an HCI grad. She also did it while being a mom and just awesome, incredible results, which we've got to find out a whole lot about today, which is really cool.
You know, it's funny, even when I still hear people say that, I always realize, I just thought that was normal. It actually took a while of me being in the field to realize, oh, it's actually not normal that people do that. I just thought that was why wouldn't anybody do that? They would just do that, of course.
You're so freaking, I was about to say freaking lucky, but that's not true, because what we're actually about to find out is that it's nothing to do with luck. So this is really awesome if everybody that watches, to really understand how, which is cool.
Yeah.
So before we get started, guys, I have a ton of questions, obviously, but if you have any other questions, you didn't get a chance to put them in the group, feel free as we go along. If anything comes up, post your questions, post your comments, any feedback. Mandy and I are here to support you guys and give you a ton of information, which is really cool. Sound good? Yes.
Yeah, girl.
Okay, so Mandy, first question for you, which is a nice and easy one to get off right from the start, is why did you choose coaching?
Oh, well, I guess that one's really easy. Honestly, it was just I thought that I could, well, if I could just understand, first I went to neuroscience and I thought if I could just understand the brain, then I could unfuck myself, unfuck everybody I love. I could, finally figure it out and stop suffering so much. And then that, like, as I was in school, I quickly realized the limitations on being able to reach people, and coaching seemed like a no-brainer. It was basically like understanding human behavior at this high spiritual level of implementation in a limitless way. There was no like limit to it, and it was super inviting. So yeah, I was all in.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And what made you like decide? Because you went for health coaching first, right? So
Yep.
what drew you to health coaching first?
Well, I was bulimic for 21 years. So I had binge and purge behavior for 21 years. And it was funny because during that phase of time is when I actually learned how to heal the bulimia, which had nothing to do with HCI, but of course, just whatever you put focus on expands. So while my focus was there, I had other events going on in my life, and I worked really hard on figuring out what was going on there and healing that. But a big part of why I went into health coaching was because food had, and the behavior in the behavior really wasn't the food. At the time, I thought food had ruined my life, basically, is what I thought. So that's, at the time, the thinking was if I could just get a grip on that behavior and help other people not have the thing control them, then they can live a long time. Plus, I had a lot of family members that literally ate themselves to death. I literally have had family die just from overeating behaviors. So, that was on the radar too, obviously. I think a lot of people, it's the same thing. Like, we just have a lot of unhealthy food behaviors and want to heal it.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I just had no idea I do a lot of binging, things like that, and wasn't until I got into this whole health coaching space that I was like, oh, okay, all right. It was a bit
Oh,
of
there's
work I
some
needed
shit
to do.
there.
Binge
Let's put
drinking,
the
binge
cover back on
eating,
really quick.
binging in general, whatever it was, Netflix, everything.
Didn't it feel like if it was anything like you, when I first opened it, it was like opening the door, and then I'm like, oh, whoa, shut that fucking
Yeah,
door again, lock the door, throw the key.
don't want any of that. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. Oh, I freaking love it.
That's really funny.
Oh, and tell us, what are you doing now?
So, the way it transitioned, which everybody always asks me, so I know somebody's going to ask, so I'll just answer that now. The way it transitioned was I became very successful at the health coaching. I mean, I think like that first month they gave us that, and this is like if people just hear this for a second, when they gave us the cleanse, right? I just launched a group for the cleanse, and then a bunch of my peers ended up joining because they wanted to see how I ran the cleanse, and I just ended up running a cleanse for a crap ton of my peers and like 5 other people that came in. And so like there just became a trend when there was something available to do. When we took practice clients, I took paid clients. Even though it was only $300 for the first client, I took a paid client. So I was always kind of pushing that line even when I was doing it. So I had a lot more success than my peers in there because I had been pushing that line. And then someone said to me, as Stacey and Carrie said, I asked like, what's one thing that you would do? And they said, get a mentor. And I just listened to them. Like they said to do it. So I did it. I cannot imagine. So many people, everybody ahead of you is telling you to get a mentor, and you still don't get a mentor. Like, what is the thinking behind that? If everybody's telling you the same thing, you might want to listen, right? So I did, and then I had success. And of course, then everybody was like, we don't understand how you're doing that. Like, how are you having this level of success? And I was like, I don't really know. Like, let's compare what you're doing and what I'm doing. And I realized really quickly it was the way that they thought. It was the way they were perceiving things, the way they were hyper focusing on the what if it fails. And my thinking was kind of like, so what if it fails? Then you try it again. Like, what's the big deal? And I started learning these really obvious things that were going on with the other people. And so they were just asking me to support them in business. And it just quickly shifted right into becoming a coach for them. It began with all health coaches.
Freaking awesome. That is so cool. And what I love about what you just said is just like pushing through like some of the rules that we set ourselves, like around practice clients and things like that. Like, we're not allowed to pay for a practice client. Like, we haven't even proved to ourselves yet that we could do it, which is absolute bullshit, because what we're selling is
all the host of experience that we've already got. So I
Hell
love
yes.
freaking
It's
cool.
access to you and your way of thinking and your way of being and your way of showing up in the world. Most of the population isn't willing to do something like health coach and get certified and go through that kind of stuff and read and learn and grow and become and challenge themselves. Most of the population just isn't willing to do that. But these women are, these men are, and then they're faulting themselves for not having the experience or the confidence because they haven't arrived there yet, and they're just seeing it. It's just seeing it off the wires are crossed, for sure.
I freaking love that. That's so cool. So cool.
Yeah.
And getting a mentor too. So I didn't realize this, and this is a perfect lesson on me too. That so when I studied, I graduated in October last year, and I didn't have a mentor from October through to when I met you, which was sometime earlier this year. And in that time, I would earn like a couple of $100 here, a couple of $100 there, but I didn't really get anywhere that would demonstrate that I could leave my job and then be able to actually have a business rather than just this thing I'm playing in. And it was once I'd met you and I'd worked with you, and I was like, fuck yes. Let's go.
Oh, close the door.
I kept the door closed for quite a while. Like, just fling it open.
It is a different, this is the only way I can explain it, because of course, as somebody who is a high level mentor and charges prices, and I do sales consistently, sometimes it's hard for people. And I was one of those people that I was just like, well, how do I know they're just not really good at selling? Like, how do I know to trust them and believe them? I was totally one of those people. So I get it. And this is what I say to them. Like, well, first of all, if every single person ahead of you is saying it, then you should probably listen. That one seems really obvious. You can't kind of argue with that one. But the other piece of it is just like, it's acknowledging that there's another level of showing up. So for any of us who are mothers who have children, like, if my son were going to die, if I didn't come up with 10K by the end of this week, earned through my business, would I come up with that 10K? There's not a single mother on the planet who would be like, oh, I'm not really sure. No, that's not how you would show up. Mother Bear would come out and you would say, I will fucking do whatever it takes within my integrity to come up with that 10K. It will happen. End of story. It's non-negotiable. You don't hesitate. You move into action. You get the job done. It is what it is. And so all that means is that that's available for you. So why are we waiting for a devastating situation like that to show up at this level that we're able to show up at? So when you can get around people that play at this level and look at life and goals at that level, it just changes you, and the results are significantly different.
Yeah. When you taught me that, and it was like a total switch flip for me, and it was just like boom, like I can get this, and like figure it out, and I'm gonna be freaking messy on the way, but I'm just gonna figure it out. I'm gonna do it as long as I'm going for what was actually my goal, not just some like number or whatever it was. Like I had to be really clear.
Oh my God, yes.
Why? Like
Absolutely genius. That's brilliant, because most people are pretty aware that they need to have a why, but their whys suck. You know how I know their whys suck? Because if your why is that I need to come up with 10K or my son will die, you're going to come up with the money. But you're not showing up and making money, so therefore I know your why sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't take some kind of science to figure this out. It's just your behavior tells me that your why sucks. So if we can do the work to figure out what you actually really care about and what really matters to you and what really aligns with your souls and your values and will bring you actually to life, and you ask yourself like, well, if it could be like this, then yeah, of course I would show up and make sure I earned clients. Well, then let's make sure it's like that. That's the whole freaking point, is becoming the woman and having the life, the designed life. So it really is true. People are really terrible at knowing their genuine why, their purpose-driven why.
I think we've got a new quote card for you. And it's not making money because your why sucks.
That's a good one. Actually, that's a great blog title. You should remind me of that.
I will.
Yeah.
Because I'll be rewatching this back so I can learn some stuff. I'll totally let you know. Okay, so just on the question of mum, because I can see Alia posted something, and also I know Alwyn was asking earlier as well. How did you juggle all that? I know, well, I'm not a mum myself, but I know that could be pretty challenging. So,
I could give you a long drawn out story, but here's all you need to know. It was tension, 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 tension until I really understood that everything contributes to everything else. That is the bottom line. So the time I spend going into a space of overflow and expanding and being so fucking excited about my life and having rewards that actually make me feel like I'm well supported and taken care of, and like, and having those consistent moments of like, oh my God, is this really my life? I consistently have those moments, right? And so as I'm thriving and I'm growing and I'm expanding and I'm becoming successful, I'm learning like, what the hell, 2.5 years ago I was on welfare and now I have 500,000, and like, what do I do with this wealth, and who am I becoming, and what am I going to be next year when I'm a millionaire, and like all of the challenges and things that I go through, that contributes in such a massive way to my children. I was just explaining to my son the other day, he was thinking that extreme, like track with me for a second, because if you really get this like all the way in your core, it can completely shift your freedom level and the way you show up. So I was explaining to him the other day, like he thought like very wealthy people, like Trump's kids or something like that, they're so entitled, they're so spoiled. And I was like, babe, yes, to you, who's grown up in this environment, that feels very entitled and spoiled. But those children who grew up with a billionaire very well may not be spoiled and entitled in their world and in their universe, right? So what's happening is I'm creating, even though the smaller me that was used to the poor life and grew up with the idea that it's the amount of time that you spend with your children and going to fucking PTO meetings, which I would never do in a million years. Never going to show up at a PTO meeting. Not ever going to happen. And guess what? Everybody's okay with it now. Like, that's what it is. I do things that I know my children feel loved and well supported and seen and important, and they're learning what it's like to actually live a very wealthy life, not just monetarily, but in freedom, and exploring all the different kinds of the world, and going to different types of schools, and being willing to travel overseas and take a year off of school and have tutors come with us. And it's a completely different universe. Now, in the beginning, I couldn't have possibly envisioned that. Like, it just couldn't have. But what I did know was what made me happy and what lit me up and what brought me to life. And if you can just have enough faith to trust that your soul is calling you to do something that is best for everybody around you, it's not just best for you. You're not going to be given a vision and a dream in your life that's going to hurt the people around you. It doesn't even make sense. Like, why would God operate that way? That's ridiculous. You have longings and desires inside of you that you're meant to bring to life. You have a vision of what your life is meant to be because you're meant to participate in that. And what we get to recognize is that everything that you long for to have and to create and to become in the world contributes to every other part of your life. Just like when you're spending time with your children, it contributes, and you have that deep soul connection with your children. It contributes in a massive way to your marriage and your relationship, to your business. So every piece of everything that you show up and you are your like fullest expressed self, every time you do that, you up level, in every area of your life around you starts to up level. And we do this thing like don't forget to bring everything with you. That's like the saying that we use, like, bring everything with you, because everything contributes. There's no trading. It's not a trade-off. There's no freaking trade-off. That makes sense.
That totally makes sense. And you can really it's that whole, as the Health Coach Institute explains it, is how you do everything. Like, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So you tie that in with what you're saying in terms of your, like, everything is contributing to everything. So if I'm doing this, I'm choosing this, and my soul is calling me to be in this place, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, calling me to go and do this, then that is going to expand, and it's going to, like, it's going to impact everybody around you anyway, like in a really positive way, especially your children.
Ways you couldn't imagine. Like, just, you cannot fathom the goodness and the amazingness that is coming your way. Like, you can't wrap your little brain around it. That's how it is. I cannot wrap my little brain around what's coming next year in 5 years. Like, there's no way I could possibly know. I can dream as big as I can possibly dream right now. And that is why I love the saying, dear God, this or something better. Because I know that I can't even come up with, just the limited experience I have on this planet. I couldn't possibly come up with what amazing stuff is available for me. When I began this journey and I just wanted to be able to buy organic food for my kids, I couldn't have possibly imagined that, well, I actually just want to go to Italy and get away from all of the things altogether. And I want to be able to do a year abroad with my kids and have them train over in Italy and buy a house in Italy. Like, I couldn't have come up with that. So we have to just be aware that there's like so much epic shit ahead of us, and our soul and our longings and our desires and our visions of what we envision ourselves is the pathway to getting there. And then it's like, okay, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm open to 10K months or something better. I'm open to having this much free time from my kids or something better. I'm open to you know, losing this much weight or something better, whatever the longing or the vision is. Yeah.
Heck yes. Yes. Every
The
time I
lesson
like
is, if you
talk
didn't
with
hear
you.
anything else, yeah, the lesson is, if you didn't hear anything else, the lesson is trust your motherfucking body. Trust your longings. Trust, I know we're taught something different, but if you trust your longings and your soul and your desires, it will never stray you wrong, right? And your body's going to win anyway. It's going to win every time anyway. So you might as well just start off giving in from the beginning to your body and your soul, because it's eventually going to get you there.
Yes, I love that. I really do. Okay, so um, tell me, like, I think while we're on the topic of the body and all that kind of stuff, tell me what blocks did you have to work through
Well,
to
believing
go?
that being successful would hurt my kids was definitely the biggest one in the beginning. And I think at each new level, I've on some level had to work through that. Like, you know, just this past shift was like the freaking Chanel bag journey. Anybody who tracks me in my audience knows this goddamn Chanel bag journey. So I went and bought fucking 3. All done. I'm done with that. I was like, okay, thank you for the lesson. I'm done with this one now. So like even this last one was like, oh my God, that's like $12,000. I should be putting that aside for college. I should be blah, blah, blah. And so like it was another level of like everything contributes to everything. My soul is longing for this. I have this vision in my head of me being like a parent, like I look put together. I have nice things that really excite me, like my sunglasses that I have are my favorite thing in the whole world. Right. Like, and so I had this vision of myself, but of course there was a pattern of like, oh, but I should be using this for the kids. And I'm becoming selfish and greedy. I knew it. I knew if I made money, I'd become selfish and greedy, just like all those other people, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so like, I get to catch it because I now know I don't have to worry about what the thought is. It's just how I feel. If I start to feel yucky and bad, I've just gotten off track with what is actually true. And I get to shift back. So even at every level, every new level that I go, it's that same stuff that comes back. So yeah, one of them was like, I'm being greedy, I'm bad. I definitely thought like I might be leading Christians to hell. That's an interesting one. That one came up for me. Like, am I sure that you're allowed to trust your body? Because everything I was taught in church tells me you're not allowed to, and that's bad. And I'm going to become like some kind of hoochie mama who's like doing drugs and who even knows, right? Like that's what you're taught. So that was one of them. And then the other one was really personal relationships, you know? It was really a challenge for me when I started becoming successful and I started running retreats around the world and stuff. And people around me would be expecting me to go to a birthday party or go to someone's wedding or go to whatever cousin's barbecue. And I didn't want to. I didn't freaking want to. I didn't want to sit there and talking to the guy drinking beer who was talking about the dog fight down the street. Like I just didn't freaking want to. It made me feel like I was dying. And I used to feel antisocial and like I was bad. And then I actually remember Carrie was talking about a story where her couch, like she bought some kind of couch and she felt bad because her family knew it was expensive or something like that. And I remember thinking like, that's fucking weird. Like it's a couch, so get over it. Like, why are you telling me the story? I remember thinking that and then like I just let it go. It was like a quick thought. And then I realized why she was talking about that. And it came back to me when I was going through this because I realized like, oh, but other people become successful and wealthy and become very busy doing their purpose work in the world and then spending the other time they have with the closest people to them. So that means other people have figured out how to say no to birthday parties and PTA meetings and whatever other shit comes up. So it was really interesting to learn how to speak for myself and how to own my success and how to say no and how to let other people be to hold them as able to work through their own emotions about it and not take that on and not defend myself, not justify why I'm not coming like it's because of some important thing. I choose not to come to this. It doesn't feel good right now, thanks. Like saying that was crazy. Sorry, that doesn't feel good right now, thank you. So that's why I started saying, oh, that doesn't really feel good right now, but thanks for asking, I appreciate it. So that was like a year-long lesson of learning how to say no to people and build boundaries and create different expectations with the people around me, for sure. Yeah.
Which leads me to probably the next question is around setting boundaries and things like that. Like for like most of the people that are here in this live are new coaches or, you know, wanting to be able to leave their job and do things like that. So what sort of boundaries should they be setting?
Okay, that's such a great question. And I definitely have an answer for this. The number one thing that I see, my favorite thing in the world is when a new coach leaves her job. I have many, many clients. You know, Catherine, she's in our group. She left her job. She stayed with me right from when she left her job, now in the diamond. It's been epic watching her. And she hit 6 figures. First girl in the group hit 6 figures. So the biggest thing I see is people thinking in their head, I'm not allowed to say, like, I'm not allowed to hire a cleaner. I'm not allowed to get a nanny, or I'm not allowed to tell my husband or my family or my friends, like, hey, I need 2 hours a week, or I need 2 hours a day, or I need 10 hours a day, whatever it is. I don't freaking care, whatever feels in alignment. I need the specific time to go work on my business. Like, their business isn't legit. It's not good enough for them to take time for their business until they've proved it and made the money, which is so silly, because how are you ever going to do that if you don't set the boundary now so that you can create that? You have to call in, what would 10K a month, what would 30K a month, what would 50K a month me do? Like, you become, like, you feel it, you see it, you own it, you are her. It's just a choice. The second you decide to be her and you're unavailable for anything less, you will be her. End of story. You just own that for long enough and then you become her. It's actually that fucking simple. All the rest is a bunch of shenanigans that we work through, right? So like, you own who I am at the 10K, and then you make decisions based on that, which include taking time for yourself in your business and making it and letting it be important, even if other people push it. When I first started doing this, I was only a couple months in, and a close friend down the street who was a pastor said to me, like, oh, you're investing how much? That doesn't seem prudent. The best coach we coaching for almost 20 years, and she makes 17,000 a year. And it was like, oh, right? Like, they want to hold you down because they're scared, because they can't see anything else. That same person came back later and was like, oh, you have all the success. I think it was when I hit 6 figures. And then they said to me, but this is just the first round of people that know you. And then once they've hired you, there's nobody else. Right. And that was like, oh, right. And still that voice comes back to haunt me every once in a blue moon when I have a bad month, or I'm off, or I just, like, shit hits the fan, whatever it is, like, that voice will come back. So those are the kind of things that when you're new, because even when you're seasoned, you gotta be sure not to let those things. Be careful who you talk to. Don't fucking listen to other people. Get in a room with people like Chloe, who are gonna call your ass tomorrow, who can see the vision, who know what's possible for you, and don't talk to regular people. Just don't fucking talk to them. They're never gonna understand. They're gonna tell you to be careful and prudent. I still, to this day, my husband is like, I'm not sure if he uses a different word than prudent. I don't remember what it is, but it's like forbidden in this house now. That word is now forbidden. That's why I can't even remember it. Like, it's people, everybody will tell you, don't do that. Don't put money on a credit card. I sold my shit. I sold my bike. I did a public fundraiser. My kid was going to die if I didn't make the money. That's the level I played at. Would you do a public fundraiser? Would you sell your shit? Would you invest in a mentor? You do all of those things. You do everything.
All of it. Yeah.
I don't remember what the original question was. I scrolled out, but
it
there
was
you go.
so good though, because it's true. It's like every single person is going to have an opinion on what you can do, especially the people that haven't even had a business before. And they're going to say things like, oh, well, I wouldn't leave my job unless I'd replaced my entire income. Or oh, you didn't get that sale, like that sale that they said no, oh, you mustn't be meant for it, or it's not meant to be, or maybe you're in the wrong niche, maybe you're in the wrong place, whatever it is.
Oh my God, that one. I'm not
Bullshit.
making any sales. I must have the wrong niche. Ah! That one makes me go, or wait, there's one more. Like, I've been working on my hot hook for a month. Ah! Like, okay, wait, I'm calling you, just 5 minutes. I don't know who you are, but I'm calling you, and we're gonna work it out in 5 minutes. Like, I'm over this. It makes me mental, because all that's happening is a whole shit ton of procrastination and a whole shit ton of pretending like that you're doing all the things you even already know to do before someone even helped you. There's already things you know to do consistently that you're not doing, and you're not walking through why aren't you consistently doing those things, because you could just work through those things and you're going to be far better off than sitting down and figuring out the perfect niche and the perfect hot hook for that perfect niche. Because maybe someday in an elevator, someone's going to be standing next to you and you're going to be like, bam, hot hook. And they're going to be like, sold. Negative.
Oh, that's so good. Bam, hot hook.
Like, is that what we think? Like, what is going on here? I don't understand. But it is like, okay, even though I love HCI and IIN and all the other places that people come to me for, really, I understand, like, we got to understand that they're pumping out mass amounts of health coaches, what I think is changing the world. And I'm so behind them. And I absolutely fucking love all the companies that, of the people that come from, even the life coaching companies and everything. But we got to understand that they're meant to be for a broad audience, right? They're trying to teach these big things to big audience, and it's not specific and targeted. So on some level, you got to be aware of the concept, but when it's kicking your ass, like, we got to fucking, like, we got to mature and be mature, smart businesswoman. Like, does it seem like a smart business plan to spend a month on a fucking hot hook? Does that resonate with you as a smart business plan? You know what I'm saying? Like, we just got to start seeing the things for what they are, and starting to, like, call our ass to more a little bit, with or without any other things. Just like something about that probably doesn't feel right all along anyway.
I love that.
Yeah.
I remember when you taught me, what was it? It was, are you being the CEO of your business? Are you making decisions like the CEO that you would hire? And if you're not, are you going to fire your ass? Because you should.
Right. Like, imagine you have a CEO and she's like, well, I'm not really sure if I should do this program, and maybe we have the wrong niche, and what if it doesn't work? Like, what would you do? You'd be like, oh, ouch, fired. Like, could you just imagine someone talking to you that way that's running your business? Yeah. I know, it is a really good analogy. You're like, oh, I remember being like, oh shit, that's not good. Yeah.
I don't want to get fired.
Yeah. Yeah, you can actually say that to yourself. You just have a nice conversation with yourself. Be like, girl, you're fucking fired. Be gone. I'm gonna now go. And then you go in your little bedroom and put on your big girl panties, come back out, and you fucking run your business like a big girl. Which would not include pretending that you have the wrong niche, which is a soul desired led thing. And then comparing it to, like, do I think this will sell? I don't know. That's basically like selling your soul. It's the same thing. Oh my God, I've never said that, and that's brilliant. It is actually like selling your soul. It is. Because it's your purpose, your life, it's your soul's mission in the world, and you show up and you go to do it, and then you are like, well, but what if it doesn't sell? That's like being a whore. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. Yes, which doesn't mean it's not okay to change your niche when you want to. I changed my niche, right? But I did it in integrity. So it's not just I grew. I just outgrew something and grew into something else. And maybe on some point I'll grow into something else. Who knows? But it was always in integrity. It wasn't because, oh, this isn't selling. Like, we cannot do that. It's not okay.
Yeah. You don't want to be stuck in a business where you're making decisions based on making money, because then you're just, like you said, you're selling your soul. It actually just kills you a little bit.
That's another blog title. I need to write these things down.
I'll just go through that. Okay, Mandy, here you go.
I know, I should selling your soul. What was the other one?
Oh shit, I don't remember.
See? Always happens. I gotta write them down in the moment.
Wait, it's gonna come to me. It will. I don't know. No, don't know. No idea. Something about why. Your why sucks. Something about that.
You remembered.
Okay.
Susan's gonna be like, what are these?
The biggest question that came out from pretty well everybody was attracting clients that will pay and will stay.
You know, I used to have a very definitive answer on this, which was stop being fucking entitled. Everybody says I can't afford it. Right? So that was basically my answer before. Like, everybody says I can't afford it. Just about everybody says, oh, I can't afford it, and that's expensive, and how do I know it's going to pay off? And all that's really happening, it's really more like dealing with a money objection, right? So, you know, how to, like, really the question is, what do I do when people say they can't afford it? That's like a smarter question, because almost everybody's going to tell you they can't afford it. But I've also grown a little bit into understanding that there really are soulmate clients. I mean, there really is. And it's, here's the real deal. If you have money stories, all the people that show up on your enrollment calls are going to have money stories. Because they're going to sense it. They're going to snip that shit out in a call. If you're open and available for people being like, I'm not sure, I can't afford. I just had someone message, here's an example. I had someone messaging me in Messenger right now. And she's like, I got a business loan. I have X amount of money. Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And I just sort of was like, well, you know, what's your biggest pain point? What's going on? Because I just wanted to lead her in the right direction. And she told me roughly the price that she was able to invest in. And then it was like fear, question, fear, question, fear, question, fear, question, right? And so I was just like, you know, normally if you have this level of tension and fear, I would say no, because this isn't a magical fix for you. I'm not going to rescue you or save you. I'm not going to give you anything that makes this like magically fixed. I'm going to call your ass to more, and you're required to show up and do the work. And if you do not decide that, no, I decided I'm determined to make this work, like I've shifted into being determined rather than what if, then you're ready to join the program. Which, so when you're dealing with a money objection, it's really basically reflecting back to the person what's really happening. And all that's really happening is the person's looking at their past and all the shit they fucked up and didn't do and didn't follow through. And they're throwing that shit right into the future. And what they're saying to you is like, I don't really believe that I'll show up and do the work and make this happen. That's what they're really saying to you. Right? So on the biggest level, if you know how to handle that and you just expect, like, that's the excuse people use in this culture is I can't afford it, right? And it's, you know, when I began, if someone had, like, I literally had almost no money. I literally had to sell shit and do public fundraising and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Are you willing to work with people who have to sell shit and do public fundraisers if they show up and fucking make it happen? Are you willing to let people struggle with the money story a little bit and make it happen? Great. If you're willing to do that, then serve the shit out of that person, help them through their money story, reflect back what's going on, call their ass to more, and let them show up, because most people do. If that really feels like some people just, like, for me, of course I'm not afraid to do that. I was her. And I'm so grateful somebody was willing to do that with me. But if that really feels like death, this is why I kind of matured into understanding, like, it's not black and white like that. If it really doesn't feel good, then you just get to call in your soulmate clients. And in order for you to call in those soulmate clients, it means your money shit needs to be on point. So if you are not investing in yourself and you think that someone's going to come along and not tell you a money story because you told yourself a money story and that's why you're not investing, that shit's not going to work. Do you see what I'm saying? It's an inner vibe. If you haven't done the work to break through it yourself, how can you possibly expect to draw in? Like attracts like. You are attracting what you put out in the world. So if you're putting out scarcity and money stories and I can't, and I'm not willing to show up to that level, that's what you're attracting.
Yeah.
So I can see why it gets so mischievous. Like, there's a lot of mischief to be had in there, and I understand that, but you can make it really simple and clear. One, just don't be entitled and be willing to do the work to help people through their money story, and just get really skilled. Like, go to people, let them teach you the enrollment process and how to deal with objections, right? Or two, you just do the work to break through your own shit, make some epic investments and stuff like that, and work through all your money stories and your money patterns so that you're really strong and solid in that. And the vibe you put out will be, I'm not available for that story. I'm basically pretty sure that there's not a single person in my audience who ever thinks they could come to me and say, I can't afford it. There's no fucking way.
No.
And if they do, they come to me like, I know that this isn't true, but what's coming up for me is I can't afford it, right? They acknowledge that it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the vibe I put out. It's like my third eye is like beaming at them, like, yes.
Oh, I freaking love that. I do. I truly know that when I first started investing in myself, it was more of a, okay, I want to find the quick fix. I want to find a way that I can quickly ramp up my business so I can leave my job and do all that kind of stuff. That's what it was about. But then, like, I've matured through that as well, obviously with you, and understanding that if I'm prepared to invest in myself for the long term, my clients are prepared to invest in themselves for the long term too. Like,
you know why?
Why?
Because how many times have you hit that fucking brick wall, 100 miles an hour, bam, and then you broke through it and got on the other side, and then you saw what it takes and you saw the work, and you have so much respect for people that are willing to show up and do the work. Like that Michelangelo saying, I think it was Michelangelo, like, no, this one's not Michelangelo. His was something else. His was like, if, like, people are always in awe of what I do, like, oh, I can't believe you created this. And he's like, but if you had any idea of how much work I put into it to become the man who could do that, you wouldn't be in awe at all. It's not mysterious at all, right? Or the other saying that's like, the more successful I become, the more I realize how hard everybody else worked to get here. So there's a strength inside of you when you stay in the fucking room, right? Like, you just stay in the fucking room and it sucks and it's hard sometimes, and you're just like, well, this is fucking hard right now. That's what it is. Oh, well, get on with it, right? And you stay in the room and you push through. And then you look back and your clients come to you with their shit and you're like, yeah, I remember when I was there. Yeah. it's a really powerful thing to have under your belt. It just is.
It's so it's so empowering. I like unreal that the growth is epic. So tell me, what about so that's around clients who pay. What about in terms of attracting your soulmate clients? Do you have any tips around that?
Yes, just be your fucking self. I can't even tell you how guilty I felt for swearing for so long because I had such a hardcore Christian audience, like predominantly Christian. And they would message me and be like, I love your message, but it's so hard to listen to you swear. And I did care. I cared that it was hard for them. And I also was like, part of my gift is that I am so unfiltered. I will tell you anything. There's nothing in my business or life I won't share with you. There's nothing that's actually going on I won't share with you. It's just who I actually am. And part of that is not hesitating to say things that may not be completely socially acceptable and swearing. And that's just part of it. And so, you know, I really just began to own who I am. And it's the very things that people will criticize you for are often your biggest gifts, and the biggest challenges and struggles and horrible shit that's happened to you in your life become your gifts if you allow them to. If you can own the belief that I believe every negative quality about me gets to be used for my good, every horrible fucking thing that ever happened to me gets to be used for my good, gets to be used to fucking make money. You just be yourself. Be really true. Like if your best friends or your brothers and sisters were hanging out with you and you guys were having a couple glasses of wine, how do you act? How are you? That's what you get to let people see, the real you. And if anything, even a little bit more over the top, because then it's like you're training them to accept you for who you are. And this is a process. When you become like, the more fame and the more success you get, like online fame or whatever, what happens is you trigger people and they see a part of you that resonates with them that they're not ready to own, and they'll leave. And those people usually circle back and become clients. And if they don't and they leave, good, because they'll go find the people they're meant to follow, and you'll start to saturate your audience in your life with people where there's an exchange of value and you enjoy them and you're lit up by serving them. My Millionaire Mind membership, probably my fucking favorite place on the planet to be. I don't know why. I just go and I'm just like, I fucking love it. Every time I go way over the time I'm supposed to, because I just love hanging out with them, and they pay nothing a month. It's like so cheap, and I just give them so much value because I just love being in there. So that's it. Be yourself, unfiltered, raw, authentically you.
That's so true. So beautiful. I really do like that. And what I loved about what you said is taking what feels like a weakness, or something that people constantly point out, and turning that into like your strength, which is really epic, because to where we feel the most raw is when someone's giving you feedback on that kind of stuff. Like the first ever couple of Facebook lives I did, and I had this lady that I thought was was a good friend of mine. She's like, I just don't watch your stuff because it looks so unprofessional. And I'm like, and at the time I was like, what? Oh my God, like people don't like it.
But all that really happened is she's like, how come she gets to be so successful without having to be perfect? How come I feel the need to have to be perfect? She saw a freedom in you, and it triggered her. It's so obvious when you look at it for what it is.
Yeah.
And so you could have winked at her and said, you can have as much freedom as you want to, and walked away. Yeah.
And you get more badass at saying stuff like that as you get on, and you get more confident. Like, yeah, it's like, well, yeah, I'm just going to be like that because I like to be myself. So that's my call.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and speaking of, people ask me all the time, like, well, how do I be confident if I haven't gotten the result yet? Well, you just nailed it. You fucking get on with it. You're not like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to work out my hot hook for the next month, and I'm going to sit here and wait until I'm magically confident. Like, does that sound like a badass business plan? Is that a CEO that you would keep? We would fire her, right? Like, you build confidence by just fucking trying shit and pushing boundaries and just doing it and failing and figuring out why you failed and doing it better next time. And like, that's how you build confidence. It's an in motion thing. It's not something that we will sit and obtain just by sitting in the fucking computer chair.
Freaking love it.
I think that sometimes we need to say it like that because we trick ourselves. It's like, we hear our own shit and we don't hear it when it's our own head. But when we say it out loud, or someone says it out loud, we're like, yeah, that actually does sound completely ridiculous. But in my head, it sounds so perfect.
Yeah, like so many messages I've seen, like I've gone to write to you and then I've gone, nah, and I've deleted them.
I wish I could see
Coming
all
out
of
of my
them.
head and being like, oh my God.
My audience does that all the time. They'll be like, oh, I was trying to delete this. You already saw it. They say that shit all the time.
So good. So
Yeah,
good.
well, just
Okay,
so you know, I do the same thing with my mentors. The same thing. I'm like, oh, fuck, never mind. I already know I was scrolling out. Never mind.
Oh, hashtag human, right?
Yep, hashtag all the same.
Love it. So good. Okay, so we talked about money, client attraction. There was a question around getting clients to stay. So, like, you finish the cleanse with them or the 90-day program or whatever.
Oh, re-enrolling them.
Re-enrolling, yeah.
Well, I mean, the biggest part is having something to fucking offer them, right? It's like having the discipline to have a next offer for them. That was actually a big part of how the Diamond Mastermind even came about, because people finished the Accelerated Coaching Academy Wealthy Coach program, and that back then was 12 weeks. And then they were like, what's next? And they're like, oh, I signed up for this coach and this coach and this coach. And I was like, fuck, that sucks. So that only happened one time. And I was like, oh, we're not fucking doing that again, right? Because I wasn't doing one-on-ones anymore. I was just running the group over and over. And so, yeah, I was like, what's the next offer? And a couple other things came about that created the Diamond Mastermind, but that was how it came about. So really, I mean, just have fucking something to offer them. So if you're showing up in front of you, here's another thing. If you're having, like, okay, let's say you mentioned earlier, I think you said you had like 100 in this group, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're like, I only have 100, I'm not saying you do, I'm just using this as an example. I only have 100 people in my group. So you're focused on like, how do I build my group, but you're not loving and serving your audience, which you clearly are right now, right? If you're not loving that 100, you're not doing the thing in front of you well. So then you're going to have 400 people in there. And now you've created the habit of always focusing on the next thing. So you're not doing the damn thing in front of you well, right? So it's really about like showing up really big. I don't care if it's a 10-day cleanse that they paid 40 cents for. I don't care. You fucking show up and you absolutely blow it out of the water like it's a 40K program. And they're going to be like, what's next? And then your ass is going to be like, you're going to pretend you didn't see the message, and you're going to go fucking create something for them. And then you're going to come back and you're going to tell them what the offer is. And then you're going to have that ready for yourself for the next time. So that's what it, like, so many times I've made up shit right on the spot. Like, oh, I have this program, and I make it up on the spot. I trust myself to show up. I would never let somebody pay and not give them the value. It'll never fucking happen. So I'll show up and I'll create it. But you got to have faith and trust in yourself to do that. But the two biggest things is, if you're serving them, serving the shit out of them, not over giving, not fucking over giving. There's a big difference. Not over giving. If anything, that devalues everything. They will lose faith and trust in you. You do not over give. And I mean, with your time or past boundaries that you had already created. I do mean like literally just giving them the absolute best of you in the time that you have with them. And then you have an offer for them after. It's not really more complicated than that. An offer that you know is a badass offer.
Freaking awesome.
And you just consistently have a next thing for them.
I love it.
And then eventually you get to the place where you have something like my membership or my Diamond Mastermind, where it's called a rolling enrollment for people who don't know. So it's just a month-to-month membership that they can join. And then you have stuff like that you can funnel them into.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's also a belief that people are going to hang around for you, like with you as well, right? So I know for me, a lesson I learned in working with you was that I initially thought, well, the 90-day program's the 90-day program, and then that's it. I've got nothing else to teach them, which was absolute bullshit. It's that whole sit your ass down and figure out what the heck you're going to be doing next, and offer it. That's it. And trust and believe.
If you don't, they'll find someone else.
Yeah.
And that's the price you pay. If either you're going to sit down, you're going to fucking create another offer for them, or you're not. You're going to squirrel out and they're going to go find someone else, and they'll come pay me. That's fine.
I freaking love that. Okay, one last question. Actually, I've got two. One is like your strategy. Do you go high-end groups, memberships? What, like, do you have any feedback on that?
I mean, so look, at this point, I did it right. I really did it right. I did it right. And I teach my clients to do it right. Like, I built a multi-six-figure business my very first year of business, just doing fucking Facebook Lives and enrollment calls. And I did a couple webinars too, which were really helpful. And then I did a meetup group, and I did local live talks at the library. I never got a single client from the meetup group or library, but it gave me so much confidence to like how to create a safe group. Like, I remember the first meetup group I did, Craig came with me, my husband came with me. And he left there and he was like, oh my God, that was so awful. I'm never doing that again. And I was like, what? That was amazing. This lady was arguing with this lady and she was trying to control this lady. And I was putting out the fires and I fucking managed that shit. I did it well. I did a good job. They were all like, I'm coming back next week. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, that was amazing. Right. So like I learned how to maintain a safe space and how to tell people basically to shut up and mind their own business or whatever, like in very polite ways. Like I learned how to do all those things, which now when I do my retreats and stuff like that, I mean, this is an intense space of people together. And you can't, if someone's sharing something incredibly valuable from their past, you have to know, like, how do I make sure that other people aren't going to go up and start giving their advice or their opinion, or they're not going to sense judgment, and you create that level of safety. A lot of that came from running the meetup groups in the beginning. So, you know, I just did the things that felt good for me at the time to do. And my offers were consistently something that felt good for me to do. I didn't undervalue my pricing. I always had like that price felt good, and I grew and I kept expanding my pricing. And then when I had 30 booked one-on-one clients, I was like, I'm not fucking doing this anymore. This is 30 hours a week of one-on-one clients. And I launched my first group. I had heard the same stuff over and over from all the brand new health coaches, all the shit they were doing wrong. And so I created the Wealthy Coach group and then just started rotating that group. And I literally went from 30 hours a week to 6 hours a week. 6 hours a week. And I tripled my income, tripled my fucking income. My first launch was a 40K launch, my first year. And that was all from Facebook Lives and some webinars. And then the other things were just skill sets that I learned for later on things. So I did it right in the way that I learned my audience's pain points and what they were longing for. And so then I created groups that were actually addressing those things. And so then my clients were getting epic results in the Wealthy Coach group. Then I grabbed those testimonials, and then it just started, you know, continuing that way. And then I had to come up with the next offer for them. So that's how the mastermind came about. And then I noticed there was a large population of people that needed help and were kind of like constantly in my audience and stuff, but that weren't investing in the Wealthy Coach or the Diamond Mastermind. And that's when I was like, I really want a lower end program for them. I want something where they can, you know, come in at a lower price. So then I just started launching these smaller groups. So like, just like I would do a 2-week group, or even a 1-day group, or a 5-day group, or a 4-week group, whatever, at the lower price points. And then everybody kept asking the same stuff in these groups about these tech things. How do I build a sales page? How do I book a PayPal link? How do I blah, blah? And I was like, I'm not going to keep saying it over and over. Then the membership was born. So then I have a membership that's the lowest point on the ladder. And that's like the monthly, I think it's $197 now. And it has all the tech stuff and everything. Which, so like when my diamonds are like, hey, Mandy, how do I do this thing? I'm like, oh, it's in here in the membership right there. Right? So it's like all done now. So now it's really amazing. So now 2 years into the business, I have, you know, the membership, and I have the monthly programs that are the lower end. And then I have the Wealthy Coach program. And then I've created a couple higher end programs in there too. But those were only based off of specific needs that I saw, like the Up Level on Command. I didn't create that because I was supposed to. I created it because the Diamond Girls had some deeper shit that they needed pulled out by the roots that I wanted. So we did interventions in that group, and I did it for the Diamond Mastermind Girls. So like everything that was created by a need. And my motto in the business is, we don't do any fucking thing in your business that's your business doesn't require you to do, i.e. pamphlets and whatever fucking coupons and all the shit that you like. What is the result you want? What are you going for? What is your goal? Work backwards from that and only do the things that are required to get there. The rest of it, just let go. You learn to just let it all go. None of it fucking matters. All that shit that you were doing in that busy work, none of it fucking mattered.
Yep. Been there. Done a lot of busy work before.
Me too, girl. I still have my health coach pamphlet.
Do you?
The person I ever made. I do. I just found it the other day.
Oh
it's so awesome. It's so awesome. I was like, oh my God, why do I still have it? I still have everything. I have the papers where I did my calendar, and I because I used to like make a piece of paper, like my calendar wasn't an online calendar like now, it was a piece of paper, and I wrote it all out, and I wrote all my one-on-one clients down. And then I had my block calendar that I calendared out, and I have that paper still. And then I have my first webinar that I did where it was pieces of paper, and I had to flip the paper really quietly so that people couldn't hear that I was reading off the papers. And then one time I accidentally left the webinar on, and they watched me flipping the papers the whole entire webinar. They saw me on the camera. I still have all of that shit in there. And like, nothing was fancy. Nothing was nothing. I did whatever was the fucking easiest way to do it. That's what I did. And then, you know, later on when I hired a team, I had them make everything fancy. I didn't have no website, no email list, no funnels, no ads, no fucking nothing.
And freaking kicked ass.
Because I showed up relentlessly at the level of basically probably not that to that degree. I'm not going to claim that, but I showed up at a level a lot closer to my kid's going to die if I don't do it than, oh, I tried everything and nothing's working, which I was tempted to do often.
I think we all are at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, that is cool. So you spoke about, which I know is coming up, you spoke about the resort, not the resort, the retreat at the resort. Do you want to tell everyone about it? Because I know it's going to be epic. I'm doing what I can to get there as well. But yeah, share with us. Tell us a bit about it, and I'll find the link so I can pop it in.
Yeah, it's mandyperry.com/Maui is the one for the retreat. So basically, it's all this stuff we're talking about right here. What happens is when we get in the room together, it's a small, intimate gathering. We have so much fun and we heal so much just by being together as women. And then obviously, you know, being in Maui too. We do some in Bali as well. And then I have one stateside, but the one in Maui is really, you guys can check out the page for it, but really what it is getting together and doing the shit that you never do when you're in regular day-to-day life. Like nobody stops and works this stuff out. They just bounce. I'm going to try this and this and this and this and this. And I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I'm trying this. And then, oh, I had a breakthrough. Yay. And then what? You fucking start all over again. I'm going to do this and 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 this. And like, oh, I finally had a breakthrough. Only start all over again, right? It's like enough of that shit. We just get really clear what's actually going on and make power moves. And that is what we do together in the room. We take the time, we're together, we have fun. Digging into the stuff isn't torturous. It's enjoyable and fun, and we dance and we have fun. And so, and we spend that time together to like heal and fulfill our soul also, because when our soul is full that way, then we can see more clearly. We have creativity. We're in a state of expansion instead of contract. When we're contracted, creativity is not flowing. You're not receiving. You're not going to receive 10K. You're not going to receive your soulmate client. You're not going to work through your money shit. None of that stuff's going to happen. So we get into a state of expansion where our soul is full. Then we start getting clarity to the questions that are plaguing us, or like the bullshit stories you've been telling yourself, or the fears that you're holding on to. And we do the work to release them. And the way I always explain it at the events is like, we get on the fucking bike. I'm not sitting here telling you, hey, this is how you ride a bike. Left foot, right foot on, blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. I'm putting your ass on the bike and you're going to start pedaling, and we're going to go over bumps and we're going to go through muddy holes, and you're going to know how to ride the fucking bike. So when you go home, you're a different person now. I've already learned how to ride the bike. I know how to, I've tried on these new beliefs. I have them. They're intrinsic to me now. I have experience showing up at this new level. And that's what makes, and whether you guys end up ever, you know, coming to one of my retreats or the Maui one resonates with you or not, definitely one of the biggest things is get a mentor and go to immersion events. I go to at least 4 a year, and I'm like, my plan for 2019 is like double that, like get to 8 a year. And so I'm kind of lucky because I get to do that. I do the work right there with you guys. I do the work to work through the stuff myself in that kind of saturated energy. Why wouldn't I? It's crazy not to. Right. So like I do like for myself always. And what happens is you sort of reset at these things. So you've got to make it a priority. I mean, I know most of the girls have probably gone to the HCI events. That's an immersion event, right? It's like getting to those immersion events will break through so much shit. You can't do everything over the fucking computer and over the phone. You got to get into some in-person shit. It's really important. So yeah, that's a big deal.
I freaking love it. I'm looking forward to it. And does anybody have any questions? Because I've got one more question for Mandy. If you've got any more questions, quickly type them in so that we can deal with them if we need to. If you're watching the replay and you pop any questions in, then I'll chat with Mandy and get some answers for you afterwards. So, Mandy, the other thing is if someone couldn't make the retreat for whatever reason, right? You've got that training that how to stop, I'll forget it.
Fucking around, Chloe.
Yes, how to stop fucking around and just get shit done, or whatever it's called. Freaking awesome. Like, I can't remember the title, but everything about that training, that like I've done it, and I know so many other people that have done it, and they've learned so much from it. Like, it's just really inspiring, empowering, and you'll just be motivated to kick ass and do a bunch of stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was a live 3-day stop screwing around and be the woman you were born to be is the title of it. I'll drop the link in right now. It was just a free 3-day training that I did for my audience, and then it ended up turning into a lot of powerful shit came up in it. Just lots of downloads, lots of powerful questions. People were asking really awesome questions in those trainings. So There's the link right there. So it's a free training, just completely free. Just a gift to Chloe's audience.
Awesome. Awesome. That's cool. Okay, so it doesn't look like we've got any other questions, but have you got anything else you want to leave with us, like any must-dos that people need to do to be able to like kick ass, thrive in their business before we finish off?
Well, I'm just going to show you this for the moms out there. Can you see?
Is that Bailey sitting on your bed?
Yeah. So she's in the background right now going like this, like she wants to fall asleep in my bed, and she's going like thumbs up or thumbs down. She's asking me. Let me see. Let me just check in and see if there's anything that's coming up for me. Yeah, actually. You're gonna make it. You're gonna do it. You're really, really gonna do this. You would never have come this far if you weren't gonna make it. Your soul wouldn't be calling you to this if you weren't gonna do this. Like, you are a thought leader. You are someone who's gonna impact the world in a really great way. You're gonna make it. And I know that everything screams at you 24/7, including all the fucking normal people around you telling you that this is crazy and you're never gonna do it. And you're so tempted to just focus on the fears and the what if and what if I fail and what if I look stupid. And I'm telling you, the key to shifting this and making it and being epic is to get the fuck around people who stop thinking that way and don't play in that game. And there's no room for that shit. We just snuff that stuff out. We stay focused on like, what's next and what can I celebrate and how can I up level this, and fuck, I failed, and okay, dust it off and go again. How can I do this again? And how can I do this better? And when you show up to that level and you're hanging around with those people, like they say, if you hang out with 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th, right? So if you're hanging out with a bunch of normal people, you're going to be fucking normal. If you want to be epic and life-changing, you got to get in the room around those epic, life-changing people. And I know it can be intimidating. I'm in a room full of multimillionaires and 400K monthers, and I'm like, I feel like a little peon in those kind of rooms, right? And so sometimes I can beat myself up and compare myself to them, and then I just right back onto my own lane and remember, like, what was I doing 2 months ago? Oh, I'm fucking crushing life right now compared to 2 months ago. I'm good. I don't need to worry about anything else, right? So you really, really will make it. You would never be here. You wouldn't be still on a training like this with us talking and me talking to you this way if you weren't going to make it. That's for damn sure. You really are going to make it. You're safe. Everything's going to be okay. You have all of the universe and all of creation literally actively working on your behalf. So even when you're a fucking disaster and you're a shit show, you still have creation working for you, creating things, working on your behalf, and you will come back to life every single time. Fall down. Just don't stay there. Brush yourself off, get back up, keep going, and stay in the fucking room. That's it. You'll make it. You'll be fine.
Love that. I want to go like this. Every time you start talking like that, I'm like, yes, raise the roof. We have one question that's popped in, just really quickly before we let you go, Mandy. If you could go back and tell yourself one thing at that stage before you exploded in your career, what would you say?
You're doing a really fucking good job. That's what I would tell myself.
I love that.
I would have told myself that a lot more. I would have just been like, you're doing a really fucking good job. Like, you're fucking doing a good job. You did a good job today. You did enough today. You did enough. You're doing good. Yeah. I would have said that to myself a lot.
We forget, forget to say that all the time. It's always, I haven't done enough. And I read that thing from Brené Brown about it. Like, you wake up in the morning and it's like, oh, I didn't get enough sleep, already in that space of scarcity. And then to go to bed at night and be like, I didn't do enough. So at what point are you ever enough? Unless you decide.
You know what I started doing? Maybe I did. Maybe I heard that from Brené. I don't remember where I heard it, but it was a meditation or something. And I do it every morning. So I wake up. The second I open my eyes, usually for a second, I'm like, where are the kids? What day is it? Am I fucking alive? Like, whatever, And then, like, I remember right away, though, every morning now to just close my eyes and breathe and feel the comfortness of the bed and the sheets and, like, that morning comfy feeling that you only get every once in a blue moon. I now create that for myself every morning. So I mindfully wake up that way in the mornings. And someone told me to do that. I don't remember where I ever heard it, but man, it is life-changing, because then you have 10 seconds to set the tone for the day. And then that you have 10 seconds before that next thought. Well, then it all combines, and it just like compounds on the next and on the next, and it sets up your whole day. So yeah, maybe that'll support you guys, because that really helped me hearing that.
That supports me too. That meditation that you created, the morning one, freaking awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So good.
I create my own meditations for myself all the time, so I can call my ass to more. No, ma'am, you already figured this out, Mandy. This is this. Remember? This is why you're doing it. Remember?
I've always wanted to do that, but then I thought, then I have to listen to my voice.
You have
And
a
then I
beautiful
thought
voice.
maybe
It's
I'm my
like 51
husband.
First Dates. Remember 51 First Dates? Do you ever see that? And the girl
Yeah.
gets, it's that Drew Barrymore. Yes, it's like you need a 51 First Dates video. So every day you can remember why the fuck you're doing this. Why would you ever do this to yourself? Like all the things that you realized the day before.
That is so good. That is so good.
My
No,
video is
even
definitely
like
like that.
at one point I was like to my husband, could you record it? And I'll listen to your voice instead.
Oh my God. No, now you have to record your voice because you can't have anything trap you like that. Anything that tried to like make me small, I'm like, oh, so I think I hate my voice, right? Fuck you. I'm gonna go online and sing live then. Then
Why
my
do you do
recording of
it
myself
double?
on the video, yep, then my video won't seem so bad at all.
Oh, all right. Okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to go and create my own meditation. Done.
You're gonna sing online?
One step at a time.
I
I
was
don't
just
know if
trying to
anyone's
think for you,
ready
but
for
like literally not one song would come to mind. Nothing.
that.
Mary Had a Little Lamb was the only thing I could think of. What the hell?
Twinkle,
That's
twinkle, little
ridiculous.
star. Oh my
I
God.
tell my husband every song he ever sings sounds like Mary Had a Little Lamb. It's like everything is the tune, all different words, but it all sounds like Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I'm like, you sing Mary Had a Little Lamb tune to every song you ever sing.
How did you do that?
It's really epic.
Craig is so good. So good. All right. Mandy, thank you so much. It's been awesome to like hang out, chill, ask a bucket load of questions. I told you we had heaps, and it was just awesome to really hear from you. Like freaking cool. Like
You know what? Were you just saying that only one tiny other thing came up? Don't be afraid to fucking ask the stupid questions or the embarrassing questions or to expose your shit. One of my biggest successes is because when I'm in the room, I'll be the only girl. I'll ask the fucking question that everybody else is thinking, and I will ask it 75 times until I get an answer that makes sense to me and I feel good about it. That is another big thing.
yeah, I love that. That is cool.
Yeah.
If you're confused, you gotta ask. Otherwise, nothing's gonna change.
Not even just confused. Even if it's like I remember one time I asked a mentor, like, why do you guys put these Chanel bags like and like showcase it on Facebook? Don't you feel like you're shoving it in people's faces? Like I had to ask that. I just asked. I just fucking asked because I wanted to know. I didn't understand. It felt that way to me, and I wanted to understand like how do they think about it? And you know what her answer was?
What?
It's just a bag. I was like, shit. Oh, like it's just a bag. Like why are you? And it was like basically the implication was why are you making the bag so significant? What's the story there? And I was like, oh, but I asked because I needed to be able to shift it and see it differently. I'll always ask the stupid, crazy questions because it helps me grow. So yeah, that just came up. So I figured I'd say it.
I love that. That's really cool. Well, thank you so much, Mandy. Have an awesome night. I know it's pretty late for you, and love you back. Love you back.
Love you.
Freaking awesome. All right. Thank you. Oh my
Fantastic.
God.
Have a great night, guys.
Sometimes.
No, thank you. This was fun, and I love sharing the love and spreading the information. And my real belief is that we just do it together. That's it. There's no limitation. There's no scarcity. There's no like. If one thing I've learned, like my peers and my mentors, like we all like. There's clients that are all mixed together. Like it doesn't fucking matter. My mentors and clients. Last event I went to, I had a mentor and a client that were both there. Like it doesn't fucking matter. We just do this shit together. We're women, and we just fucking all do this shit together and support each other. And that's just the way we roll.
Heck yes. Heck yes. We
Hell
don't
yeah.
do it enough. We need to do it more. Like
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks,
Yay.
Kim.
All
No
right. Have a
problems.
fantastic night.
All right. See you, Mandy.
Love you. Love your
Thanks for watching,
audience.
everyone.